Okay, so this will be hopefully just a quick little lesson. I see that at one point I put um, identifying proper sentence structure up on the individual websites and the podcasts, and I know why it's there. It's there because we see so many problems with students not being able to identify a fragment, okay, and you'll see it usually as FRAG period, just the abbreviation on paperwork, if I'm providing um, edits on student writing, but they can't identify between a fragment and what we call a complete idea, okay? Now, there's something extremely crucial about punctuation. Okay, if it's used properly, it means something. They're not just pretty symbols that we use on a daily basis. In English, you don't have to have a period just because we're writing. Okay, it serves a job. A comma serves a job, and we go back far enough. You know, older generations are going to be saying, "Well, yeah, this is easy stuff. Duh, comma's a pause." Students in school have been learning, that a comma is a pause and a period is, an end mark, punctuation mark. This is easy stuff, but until we actually think about it and understand how they compare with one another, uh, we're not using them correctly. Um, a complete idea is going to end, okay, in what I like to call some sort of finality, okay, and that period, okay, this period is the mark that you know gives us that finality. It tells us we're done, we're finished, okay, we're about to change or go on to something new now. With the students in class, sometimes I will tell them that it's that thud. Okay, it's not a big thud, but it is. If you're hearing what you're writing or what you're reading, that period tells us. It gives us kind of like that thud. It's like, okay, we hit the bottom now. Let's start on to the next step. I try and use these analogies as much as I can to help students understand um, a little bit better. But fragments, okay? A fragment really just means it's a part of, okay? It's not complete. And if we put a period in to a phrase or a clause before our idea is done, when you read it, I mean, if you really read it, it sounds funny. Okay, if you're following that period, meaning it's done. Students get confused because they say, "Well, yeah, but the idea continues on into the next sentence or the next clause." But you have to go back and remember, no, that period told us that we were finished. So the idea should have been done at that point. Let me see if I can give you an example. First of all, just a complete idea would be, you know, my mom likes to bake cookies. Okay? Period. That's the end of the idea. This is just something here. Okay? I'm going to put that period in because my idea is complete. Now, I can't really break things down grammatically for you and say that 100% of the time um, that this is something you can look for and follow and understand that you're going to be perfectly correct. But most of the time, you can look for two things. You're going to look for a subject plus a predicate. Okay, And we talk about simple subjects, simple predicates eventually, and what this means is we have a noun at the beginning of the sentence, which the idea is the main idea of what we're trying to say, and then they do something. The simple predicate is actually just called the verb. It's what is being done or what someone is doing in the sentence. This always gets confusing because sometimes we have verbs that don't show action; they just link. We could try. Another example would be, my mom is the best. Period. Okay. I have finished my idea, so that period is going to go there. Again, I have a subject, but now the linking verb is. Um, it's still the predicate of this sentence, but it just doesn't show that action anymore. Now, if I were to put this period someplace, say, in between these examples, my mom, and then I just put period. But the idea is obviously not over. We're missing the predicate. If I did the opposite and just blocked out the subject and said likes to bake cookies, well, we're obviously going to be begging, okay, who likes to bake cookies? Maybe it's what? Does my dog like to bake cookies? I don't know. Okay, but something is missing. That's kind of the basic complete idea. So when we block out those two different things, then what you end up with is fragments because they're part of, they're not complete. The problem is this gets more confusing when we start adding in introductory clauses, introductory phrases. And one of the things that I guess drives me a little crazy because I am the English teacher is as teachers, as a staff, I hear all the time, students are not writing in complete sentences, so we have to do something about this. And what everyone else does is says, do not start a sentence with because. That's not allowed. You can't have a complete sentence with the word because starting it. Well, that's just completely not true. Okay? Why is this a problem? Well, you go into the history of education, and worksheets are the problem. Worksheets have questions, and then students are providing the answers. And the example I use in class all the time is, take science for example. If the question on a science worksheet or, in your textbook says, why do we have 4 seasons in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan? Okay, there's a question mark there. Okay, that's question 1. Well, student answer is going to do what? It's going to start with because the sun's angle is blah 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 blah. Okay, and then they're going to put that period at the end. And they're going to say, well, this is a complete answer. I have sun is a subject. We have a verb here. When you start a word with this word, or start a sentence with the word because, what this is it's a subordinating conjunction. I can't walk into a room and just start a conversation and say, because I didn't eat last night, period. And then just leave it at that. Students are going to look at me and say, well, where's the rest of this, sentence? What happened because you couldn't eat last night? What's going to happen because you didn't eat last night might be the more accurate question they're going to ask. It doesn't make sense because it's not complete. I have essentially left out the entire subject of the sentence. Okay? I don't want to start with because unless I do it a different way. I'm going to put a subject in front of this. I am crabby because I didn't eat last night. Okay? Now I have a subject and I have a verb. Okay? that makes up my independent clause or my complete idea. The idea wasn't because I was crabby or because I didn't eat last night. It was the fact that I am crabby. Um, can you start a sentence with because? I said that it drives me crazy. Well, yes. Let's try the same example we had starting with because. Because I didn't eat last night. Okay, and you can hear the difference in my voice when I'm leading up to that comma, that pause. When we have an introductory clause or an introductory phrase, because I didn't eat last night, it's almost leading you into, like this isn't over yet. Okay, wait, there's more coming. And that's what this comma means. I can't put a period there because a period says there isn't any more coming. It's done. Okay, but the comma says there's more coming. Because I didn't eat last night, I am cranky or crabby or whatever. Okay, I have my subject and I have my verb here. Okay, now where's the independent clause or the independent complete idea? It's really right here. Okay, we label this as the IC as we get higher up into the grades. Freshmen, we start talking about this. Maybe even 8th grade a little bit. Okay, this, if I left it as it was, we label as a DC, which means dependent clause. IC is an independent clause. Well, then we got to talk about what do these two mean, words mean. Well, independent means that you can stand on your own. You're fine by yourself. Okay? I am cranky, period. That's okay. That's a complete idea. We have a subject and we know what they are doing or, where the action is, or in this case, what, it's being linked to cranky. It's independent. But if you read the other portion, it's dependent. It cannot exist without this rest of the sentence. Because I didn't eat last night, I cannot put a period there. Okay? That would be wrong. It's dependent on the rest of the sentence. So, is this wrong as it is? No. Can I start with because? Yes, I can. But it cannot have a period here. I must put a comma and have the rest of my idea to finish out this sentence. So, proper sentence structure, the big thing is complete idea. Remember your punctuation marks have a purpose. A period means it is final. A comma is a pause, means something else is coming. Okay, we can get into, more and more. Maybe I'll do a second video on like a part 2 where we start combining complete ideas, making compound sentences and whatnot. But remember, you have to have a complete idea. Otherwise, it's just wrong.